Hello and welcome to Tech Circle. I'm Vignesh Anantraj and today we are in conversation with Mr. PV Kannan. He is a CEO and co-founder of 24/7 AI and he's also the co-author of this new book called as The Age of Intent, where he describes how artificial intelligence is going to shape the future of customer experience. We want to delve a little bit deeper into that and let's see what he had to say about how it's going to shape the future of customer experience.
The age of intent is really, when in the space of customer service, when a customer reaches out to a big brand, oftentimes it takes several minutes before, the customer service agent understands what the customer is attempting to solve, right? The age of intent is the ability of AI to actually pick up the signals and figure out what is it that the customer is trying to do. So I'll give you an example. If an airline customer of ours, we can predict based on the time and the day you call what you'll attempt to do. So our data shows that on the day of travel, when people call, they either try to cancel the flight or they change the flight, right? But this comes from the AI system that's predicting what the customer is doing, and predicting that intent is what I call the age of intent. I would classify these startups into like three buckets, right? The first bucket is they provide a set of tools. They don't have any data, and they're what I call very simplistic bots, like to help you order a pizza or do something very simple, right? And they're built for one purpose, and usually they do it very well, right? Then you have the second layer of bots that are a little bit smarter, can actually handle multiple things, but it's not very comprehensive, right? Where we belong is in the third generation, where not only we don't have to wait for you to say something. We've already predicted what you're trying to do, but after the conversation starts, we're actually predicting what you'll do next. So that kind of a very dynamic AI that is programmed to really solve the customer's problem, even if it is very complex, is what differentiates us from the other companies. An airline deploys a bot, right? If it can only do two things, like if it can say what time the flight is expected to leave, or one other thing, it's not going to be that useful for most of the customers, right? So one common mistake that people do is they only take a few use cases and say, let's try how it works. But oftentimes customers, let's say you handle 15% of all the use cases. By definition, 85% are going to leave frustrated. Right, so it's very important to handle a lot of the big use cases so that customers engage with it, they get a great experience, and then they come back and use it again. Right. The other aspect with that can be frustrating with chatbots is I call them dead end bots, where it'll kind of get caught in a trap where it doesn't know what to do next, and it's not smart enough to bring a human, inform the human what has happened so far, and get the problem solved. Otherwise, it's very frustrating for the customer, right? You spend 10-20 minutes with a bot, nothing happened. Now you have to pick up the phone. Might as well picked up the phone in the first instance. The reason I wrote the book, The Age of Intent, is there are just too many failed implementations. And I wanted to make sure the world knows, most of the bots, the way they're deployed are not that useful. I think the big issue, the elephant in the room is really data privacy and what are the permissions around, how customers would allow you to use the data, and complete transparency around it. We found that, companies like Facebook and others tell you why they collect some data, but turns out they use it for 10 other purposes, including, too much of intrusive surveillance of what you do outside of Facebook, right? Those things I think will get clamped down either by law, but the urgent dialogue among the large platform companies should be how do they take the lead in higher levels of discipline and higher levels of transparency that doesn't exist today. Right now, there are jobs like conversation designers, where people with playwriting skills are being asked to work to figure out how to talk in a compelling, crisp manner. So we have design teams like that. These were jobs that didn't exist 5 years back. So that's one area. The other area is understanding the user experience and the analytics around it. So as these different technologies get deployed, you need to track them, monitor them, and then figure out how to optimize them. Those are all new categories of jobs that are getting created as we speak.